You're listening to Second Mass Report, the Falling Skies podcast, and here we are once again doing Season 4, Episode 7. I'm almost starting to lose count, Rob. How about you?
No,
Okay.
I actually wrote it
This
down.
is Saturday Night Massacre, and yeah.
Wait, Frank, you failed. You need to go live from Southgate Media Group. It's Saturday Night
Live
Massacre.
from Charleston.
There you go. See, yours is better than mine.
Massacre.
Holy cow. What was this?
This was probably
episode?
the most high-impact episode I think we've seen on this series. And weren't we talking, and we're recording late this week. We had a lot of schedule conflicts, and so we're getting the podcast up late this week. But last time we talked, we said this episode looks like it's going to be insane. Didn't we reference it being like a Michael Bay episode? There were quite a few explosions.
Yeah, this was something else.
A lot happened, and we were. It's funny because I'm almost starting to put my foot in my mouth. Last week, I kept saying somebody better die this episode, and now I'm like, oh my god, everybody,
somebody. How about like everybody? Oh my
Oh.
gosh, that was just
honestly
crazy.
Having said everything we've just said, I honestly feel like that episode, the Saturday Night Massacre, almost, if not truly, bit off more than it was able to chew within an hour of what we're used to Falling Skies. I mean, we're used to like the kind of Falling Skies bite-sized episodes, and this was just almost too much, I think. It was almost, they tried to cram too many like deaths and too much mayhem and too much destruction into one episode, and I feel like we didn't have enough time to chew on all of the bad things that were, coming down around us. What did you think?
Well, I actually think that it was well served. I think that what we saw, see, I kind of had the opposite effect. I felt that it was really great. I thought they gave us a ton, and I thought that they did that on purpose. It was supposed to leave us feeling shell-shocked. I think if they had doled out a couple of deaths here and there, it would have become a little bit more rote. But when this one started and we saw Lourdes die, I thought, okay, we're getting a death here. That might be it. Now we're going to have the massacre, and we'll see some, red shirts go. Oh no. And I thought they killed Sarah. I was like, oh no, they killed Sarah. I'm like, in my notes, there's a lot of, oh no, Sarah. Oh no, Maggie.
Yeah.
Oh no. I mean, but no, I didn't. I actually liked how they did it. I didn't have a problem with that, with the pacing. Now, if it was this way every week, yeah, no, then it's a Michael Bay movie and it doesn't work. This was better.
Well, anything's better than a Michael Bay movie.
Hey, now,
Let me just say, though, I think there's a difference between being shell-shocked and feeling like the entire episode was just kind of like busy. You know what I mean? Like,
so is that how you felt?
I think so, because take an episode like with maybe Jeannie dying, or maybe back in season 2 with like Jimmy dying. That was shell-shock to me. I mean, we were all in tears. I mean, it was just really gripping. It was very powerful. It was out of nowhere.
Right, sure.
We thought, oh, we love Jimmy. He's real cool, and all of a sudden, just boom, shell-shock. With this, I was kind of like, whoa. I mean, there's so much happening. I can't even like I said, I can't chew on it all. I can't. There's not enough time to properly.
Yeah, there's
not enough time to properly cue the violin music for each person. I mean, you know what I mean?
But once again, I felt that was good. I felt that this was something different. If it's always, running at 30 miles an hour, it's less interesting. This one went from, a couple episodes that were at 30 to 180.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. And I think that it's going to propel us. I mean, think about it. Let's think about it in other terms. We only have, how many episodes are in season? 12?
So there's 5 more after this.
Okay. So a total of 15 episodes left to this entire show. So, you know what? If we're going to propel the story forward, we're going to have a couple of these, like, bam, things go crazy type episodes. Otherwise, I think that the first half of this season, it was here's what I think. Okay, get ready, Frank. Put your seatbelt on. I think the first half of the season has been a little disjointed for people. And I've seen a lot of people complain like they're not feeling connected to it. And a lot of that has to do with the time jump and some of the, the way it drastically turned. I actually have been great with it. We've talked about this before. You and I have both enjoyed this season. But I think what we saw tonight was their way of paying off what we've just gone through. Because now everything before it doesn't matter. Everything is new from this moment on. And if they had given it to us in bite-sized pieces, I don't think it would have been as impactful. So you're saying
paying off what we've been going through and ramping up for the series finale, ultimately.
Right. I think this was step one towards that series finale.
So this is turning point. This is a turning point episode.
This is a turning point for sure. Okay, let's talk about a couple of the things. We're harping on the deaths, but I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, and I can't remember his name. I feel so bad. Our sniper.
Hector.
What's his name?
Hector.
Rob, oh my
Hector.
gosh.
Like a detective, but it's a Hector and no D.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Hector. Actually, this episode should be called D Hector. So Hector
with a T. Hector.
I'm saying it right.
Hector with a T. You're saying Hector with an H. Yes.
Hector? That's even worse.
Well, at least get it right. Like Mr. Echo.
Wow. Oh my
Bingo or whatever his name is.
You know what? I literally finished the episode, turned on the mic. I think what we're witnessing right now is my post-traumatic stress. I am completely shell-shocked. So Hector with a T. Okay, so first of all, I like this character. We have talked about him before and said, hey, we weren't getting enough of him this season. This episode, I think he became a total hero, a character that, even though I couldn't remember his name right now, will be remembered. And when you go back and you watch the series from the beginning and you see his character, he is going to be a character that you are going to really be invested in because of what he did.
And that might be kind of true, except it's another thing of where I feel like the show didn't let us chew on him enough.
Well, I think prior it did. I think that earlier in the season, maybe they could have done a little bit more build-up with some of these characters throughout this season. So that I will give you. But for this particular episode, no. I think they actually played him very well. I was very invested when he did that to Tom. I knew he was going to do that. I knew there was no way he wasn't going to be the guy taking the shot. And when he blew himself up, when he went kamikaze there, I was
there's a few things that happened.
No rim shot for that, Frank?
But there's a few things in this episode that happened that I'm going, did this need to happen, or did the writers just kind of pull that out of their butts? Because I look at Hector basically suicide missioning himself, and I'm going, did that need to happen? Why did that have to happen? I mean, what was the point of that?
Well, I think it did, because they said there were 3 waves coming. And I think that he was already wired. He knew that he was going to sacrifice himself if he got close enough to.
But how long had he been wired? I mean, had he been wired all day, or did he just? I think he was wired off once Tom said.
Nope, I think he was wired before that. I think he was prepared to blow himself up, which is why he was so insistent on being out there.
Okay.
I mean, he was insistent. Yeah, I'm the guy that should take this shot, but more so, I think he had that in his plan. Now, once again, was this something that they neglected to show us?
I just don't understand why. Don't understand why.
But I didn't have a problem with it. I actually kind of, when he was laying there, I went, oh my God, he's going to blow himself up. And then he opens his jacket, and I loved it.
I just don't get it.
Boom.
Why not plant the bomb in the pathway where they're going to be and either time it or trigger it remotely? I don't understand the suicide thing.
Well, he might not have been thinking he was doing suicide. He might have been prepared in case.
I
don't think that he went into it saying, I'm going to get close to the skidders and blow myself up. I think when he was injured, he was laying there, the skidders were on top of him. He's like,
see, I thought his main purpose was to look out for Tom. I didn't think he was necessarily having some kind of private plan to detonate anything. I thought it was just, okay, I'm going to look out for Tom because he's emotional and he needs someone to be with him, help him, and maybe just talk to him. And then all of a sudden it turned into, hey, I'm going to blow myself up. And I'm just like, why? I don't know. I just didn't see it. I don't get it.
I mean, I get what you're saying, and I don't know if I'm explaining how I viewed it properly. But I really do think that, I don't think that he went into it. I'm going to try to make sense out of it. Okay. I don't think that he went into it thinking, I'm going to blow myself up. I don't think he went into it thinking, I got to get Tom out of the way so that I can get close enough to blow myself up. I think that he had wired himself knowing that, hey, if I'm in a situation like this, I'm not going to die like a chump. I want to be able to take some people out, or some skidders, or hopefully an overlord. And I think that's all that was. Maybe they could have had a scene where we saw him prepare that, but I think that they probably didn't give us that because they wanted it to be a little bit more shocking. Okay. When he got rid of Tom, I don't think he got rid of Tom because I'm going to get rid of Tom so that I can blow myself up. I think he got rid of Tom because he knew Tom has to live, and I'm the guy that should take this shot. I think that's what that was. So I think that you just had a small piece of the puzzle missing.
Actually, I have more pieces of the puzzle missing because I still
don't
for
his story,
know what exactly he did. Because we saw Tom walked away when he said, yeah, Tector, you are out of line. He said, okay, fine. I'm just going to like clean this gun or whatever. And then Tom walked away, and I'm not sure exactly what happened in between.
Well, at that point, Tector leaned down, and it looked like he was grabbing the gun, but I totally thought, what's he doing?
Well, I did too, but I just don't completely
and
understand.
Then we saw Tom at the end laying there, and he sees the pipe wrench. So obviously, Tector went and clocked him right after that and saved him that way.
That's kind of a jump.
So maybe he did wire himself.
That's kind of a big jump that you wake up and there's a wrench and you obviously know that somebody hit you with it. Like, I mean, to me, I didn't understand that at all. I looked at that and went, I don't understand what just happened. It was not very clear.
No, he definitely knew because his head was aching. He was underground. He sees the pipe wrench sitting there. The only person he was with was Tector. He made that assumption correctly.
Maybe I'm just slow or stupid or something, but like for me, I look at that and go like,
Frank, you are not.
Am I supposed to know what happened? Because I saw that and went, I don't understand. Something happened, and I don't know what happened.
You know what? There was so much going on in this that anybody could have gotten lost in that. I think that it's just up to what you happen to focus on. I happen to see it one way, and I think that as we talk through this, there are going to be other things that I'm going to go, what was that? Not unlike the name Tector, which I seem to have.
Well, I'm glad you have a bunch of like foresight and understanding into deep things, and I can understand people's speech. But okay, so let's just piece this all together once and for all. And like, this is why we podcast. This podcast exists to kind of clear things up, see where things have gone, see where they're heading, but really to just kind of dig in and like figure out what just happened. What did we just watch? And so that's why, this is helping me, and hopefully it's helped.
This is kind of like our Falling Skies support group. We have to get together.
Hopefully it's helping whoever's listening as well.
Hi, my name is Rob Southgate. I'm a
Falling Skies viewer. And I don't know what just happened.
And you're supposed to say, hi, Rob. I've been watching for 4 years, and I've got my chip, and let's talk it out. See, that's how we should start
your chip
these
and
podcasts.
Your dip.
Are you the dip
chip,
head? Is that what you're saying?
Falling Skies podcast with Chip and Dip.
Chip and Dip. Okay,
but let's just piece this all together there, what we saw at the end.
Not what we just said,
well, what we were saying and seeing. So Tom was determined to take the shot at the Overlord and save everybody that way. He felt that it was his duty. Tector went with him to try and talk him out of it, saying it's not the right play, you're emotional, it's not a good shot. And now then Tom, kind of shooed him off, and then apparently what happened, or not so apparently, was Tector clocked him with the wrench. How did Tom get underground? Okay.
Tector put him there. He put him in a safe place.
That's safe.
Because he knew that if worse comes to worse, I'm going to be blowing.
I might not have given him like brain injuries or internal bleeding,
and
he might not suffocate underground. That's
knows?
Safe.
Right. But he might not be. You're assuming he's in like a coffin underground. He might have just been tucked away in a safe spot where there's oxygen.
Okay. Well, then from there, Tector dresses up as the ghost, takes a shot at the Overlord. Now I'm not. No, did he miss, or did the bullet
I think
bounce
he hit
off? Because the Overlord didn't seem very affected by the shot.
This is something I wanted to talk about. I think he hit him. I thought that the way his head moved, it hit him in the side of the head. I am thinking that maybe bullets don't do anything.
Okay, but that goes against what we saw in season 2 when Tom took a shot at the Overlord that they had captured in that hospital.
He shot him. I don't remember him shooting him. I remember
that
him
was
burning
earlier
him.
This season. I'm talking about season 2. They captured an Overlord in season 2 when they were in that hospital, and the Overlord was intimidating Tom. He was threatening Ben, all kinds of things, and Tom just took a shot at him.
And what happened?
He was injured. The Overlord didn't die, but it definitely hurt him. It definitely injured him. So,
well, maybe he didn't. Maybe he hit that suit or something. Maybe he didn't really peg him.
Maybe, except that.
But it sure looked like he hit him.
Tector's intention was to just get his attention, bring him close enough to blow him up.
Oh, you know what, Frank? I think you might have it. I think that might have been what he was doing. Although that doesn't make sense. I mean, if he has a clear shot at the Overlord,
right? And that goes like, I'm still going. Why is
Tector's
like mission to kill himself so much that he's willing to miss the shot, a clean shot?
I don't think he missed. I think he hit him. I just don't know what that was about. Now, the other thing is, I sure thought that ship that Cochise shot out of the sky hit the Overlord.
I don't think it hit him. I think it landed near them or something.
Oh, it crashed and
Yeah,
blew up.
but it landed near them. Now,
And
did the Overlord?
okay, here's the
The Overlord
question.
called it because he made like a motion with his hand, and at first I thought he was intimidating the sniper to come out and come out like a man or something.
Right. No, he was
Okay.
calling the ship to do its job, and then Cochise shot the ship as it was coming in, and then it crashed, and I thought it killed the
Now, didn't
Overlord, but
two
it
beamers
obviously
come in?
didn't.
I thought there were
I only
two. I
saw
thought
one.
Cochise shot one, and the other. I don't know. It looked
No, I only saw one. I saw the one that Cochise shot, and then it banked, and then it
okay. Okay. I mean, we
bam
saw that.
crashed.
I just didn't know if there were
And
two of
here's
them.
my question: could it, by chance, that ship have Lexi and Ben on it? Because they showed a ship land, they showed Lexi looking like she was going to get on, and you're assuming that Ben is going to get on with
No,
her.
the one
Could they
that
be
the
dead?
Cochise shot down was a smaller beamer. Those aren't.
It was not as
The
I thought it
ship
was
that
the
we
same
saw
ship.
Ben and Lexi with was a much bigger ship. There's not really room for
Okay.
like a human to board a beamer. It's kind of like just like a small little drone, if you will. At least
Okay.
that's what I saw. I mean, if
Yeah, I actually saw it differently, but
there's
you
I
might be
saw a
right.
lot of things, Rob, so I could be wrong. I could be wrong about quite a few of them. Probably already am.
I I think
But
both
from
of
what I
us
saw,
did.
that was just a beamer that he called in and Cochise shot down. The ship that Ben and Lexi boarded, or at least looked like they were going to board, was
Okay.
definitely bigger.
So do you think Ben boarded it?
If he didn't, it's gonna pick up right there next week with them like waiting outside the ship. Like, do I want to board this or not? I think he will, because I think his mission is to get to Lexi.
Now, here's another question. Let's talk about Lexi for a second. Uh, is Tom her dad? They've said it, but do we know that?
If he's not, at what point did the aliens impregnate Anne?
Well, that's what we don't know. And the reason I question this, I mean, we've questioned this a little bit before, but they really keep hitting it home that he's dad and Anne's mom. But if you notice, when she emerged from the cocoon and she
Hmm.
calls Anne mom, and then Tom says,
She calls him Tom Mason.
she calls him Tom Mason, and she doesn't respond when he says, "I'm your father." She just
Yeah, kind of
looks at
blank
him.
stare.
So is she saying and the way she was talking to Ben was very much not just disconnected, like, "Hey, you love these humans," was what she was saying, but the other impression I was getting is that's your family. Like, she is not saying things that make you think, other than Anne, that she is their family. I think her connection to Ben is
And
he
the
was
question
harnessed.
is, are we talking biologic or are we talking social? Because I think Lexi's going through things emotionally where she's still connected to Anne, but I
Right.
think she's more like, you people have disappointed me, and therefore I don't want to call you family anymore. Or if I ever did, now I don't, or I certainly don't now. Whatever the case is, I think that's not like her saying Tom Mason and you people and this and that. I think that's more of like a social judgment to say like, I don't want
Okay. Well,
I
it could be. I don't think we
right.
have a
I
clear cut
think
answer
that's
here.
her.
I'm
That's
just
her saying I don't
questioning.
really want to be associated with you anymore, or really never really did. Now I'm sure of it. That's
Yeah, I'm just questioning the whole thing of whether he is the biological father, and if part of her rejection is she knows he's not. Not even that the fish head is, because that's an easy, like, oh, the fish head is. Then she could have been impregnated by them. They use her as like an incubator for a while, and then when we saw her on the ship is when they brought her back because they knew that the gestation period was shorter. Is any of that making sense? It's making perfect sense to me, but then again, I have
okay.
post traumatic
I
stress.
never got the sense that the gestation period was shorter, because that was never mentioned. You think Anne would have been like, okay, so I've only been pregnant for like a few weeks here, and
Yeah, but do you think it was 9 months? I don't think it was
I
9
think it
months.
was. Otherwise, it would have been.
Well, if it was 9 months, then yeah,
They would
likely
have said
Tom is the
something.
father, and then this intervention from the aliens happened just before birth.
And that's the way it seems, because when Anne had that memory of being connected to that overlord, she was already clearly pregnant. So
Yeah. Okay.
what I'm guessing happened is Tom got Anne pregnant at some point in season 2, and then the aliens, or Karen, finds out that Anne's pregnant, and they hatch this plan
Uh-huh.
to kind of infuse alien DNA into her development, or some kind of post-conception mutation. And I'm still not sure when that could have happened, but apparently it did at some point before Lexi was born. And so
Okay.
There's almost like kind of two dads because Anne was the, not surrogate, but she was she was the mother. And Tom was
Right, right.
the
Yeah, she wasn't the
Tom
surrogate
was the
mother. She
father
was the
of
mother.
conception, and this overlord was the father of mutation, if you will. So there's almost two dads,
Okay.
basically.
That sounds like a
Yeah, or
sitcom from
or an
the
episode
80s.
of Jerry Springer.
We're going to have Jerry Springer's going to come out and do a
And then
DNA
have an
check to
intervention.
find out who is the
Yeah,
father.
paternity test. Is it alien or dad or Mason? I don't know. So
Right.
yeah, that's I think what we're dealing with. The only mystery I have is when in the timeline of seasons would it have been possible for Anne to have been aboard the ship between well, I guess before she had Lexi or before Lexi was born. So we're still kind of unclear on that, and I'm not sure we're going to get an answer to that because it seems like it's not really going into that anymore. Maybe it will. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I actually don't have thoughts on that. Once again,
yeah.
barely shell
So I
shocked.
want to criticize another death, and I think this is actually
Uh-oh.
probably the worst death scene we've seen on this show that should have had any kind of weight to it, and this is Dr. Kadar. That's another thing that I watched. And I go like,
Yeah.
what just happened? I don't understand. He was collecting blood work or some samples from his work, and all of a sudden he just like laid down on the ground. There appeared to be a piece of glass in his body somewhere.
Yeah, well, it was like in his side back. It could have been big enough that it punctured into his heart. Like as soon as they remove this glass, he's going to bleed out. There's
Okay, how did
nothing
the
you can
glass
do
get
about
there?
it.
I missed that. He was collecting. He was
In the
collecting. Well,
explosion.
okay, but what explosion? He wasn't. It wasn't like an explosion and boom, there's glass in my back. Oh, this hurts. I'm dying now. It was, hey, help me collect this blood work. I gotta figure out what's going on with Lexi. Oh, wait a minute. I'm dying. Huh?
Yeah, yeah. I was assuming it was during the gas explosion. But to tell you the truth, I kind of felt it was a punk way
I
also.
just didn't make sense to me. I was like, wait, what happened? This is bad.
This is a character that they just kind of used as a utility player this year. As much as we enjoyed him last year and expected more, this death was just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess you're
And
done with the
to add
character.
to my criticism and just kind of the bad scene of it all, I've never really had a problem with any of the acting on this show for the most part. But as he was
Uh-huh.
dying and like talking about Lexi, I just looked at him and went like, I don't believe this. This is bad acting.
Yeah,
He didn't seem like, I don't know. It was like
well, it didn't have any
it didn't have
emotional weight
emotional
to it,
weight, and
that's for sure.
I don't know. I just thought it was bad acting. It just seemed like cheesy to me, and it didn't seem like a legit death. It was already I was already thrown off and confused. He's laying there apparently dying. I'm going, what's happening? And he just didn't. I don't know. It felt like what's his name? Robert Sean Leonard just didn't believe what he was doing at that moment, and I was just like, this is bad. This is a bad scene.
Yeah,
I don't get this.
yeah, I don't know if I'd go as far as it was bad acting. I think he's a good actor, and I think that he understands, what to do. But I do think that maybe there was a miscommunication or a misdirection that happened here. Something didn't work. So I wouldn't go as far as saying bad acting. I mean, there's certain people that you could say, and not on this show, but there are certain times you see shows and you're like, oh, okay, that was bad. That person, not that skilled. I think that he's
And
very
I'm not
skilled.
saying that he's a
Uh,
bad actor. I'm just saying that
well, no, that this
that
particular scene.
that
But what I'm
particular
saying
cut, if I was a
as
director, I would have said, "Okay, wait a minute, this isn't working. We need."
that's what I'm saying too. I think that maybe it was the choice of cut. I mean, that could have been something where they just tried something and then went, "Oh yeah, let's use that." But it was definitely missing emotional weight. There was something wrong with that scene. I totally agree. And it was a punk way for him to go out. I mean, he gets hit by a piece of glass. We don't know how, and this character that we found interesting just is
Yeah,
gone. I thought that the Maggie, and we're going to call it a death, was much more effective. I felt real panic when Hal was running through
and I
looking
was
for her.
about to ask her. I was getting to this. Do we know what happened? Because we saw her shooting up some aliens, and then the scene changed, and we just never saw her again. And I was like, okay, they're not gonna put any kind of closure on where she is, or
No, they're leaving that one
but they
hanging till
didn't.
next
They
week.
left it hanging in a weird way. There's a way to cliffhang something by showing you something but not everything, but to just kind of leave that scene and just not go back to it kind of early on in the episode, relatively speaking, is just kind of a
Yeah,
bad way to develop a cliffhanger.
yeah. Once again, I didn't have a problem with that because I did feel I actually think that where they made the mistake was putting it in the preview for next week.
And I didn't see that.
Okay, we're not going to talk about it then.
Well, I think we should, because I think a lot of our listeners probably did see that.
No, because I think they reveal something that I wish I didn't know. I would rather go into this next week with a question mark.
And I'm fine with it being a question mark if that's the way that the producers meant it to be. But if they meant to give us a teaser, I feel like that's part of the experience of going through this show.
I think they meant it to be a question mark. I feel that they left it the way they left it and just had her gone and him panicked, and then all the other stuff happened. And then when they were panning through the dead characters, I mean, they showed Lourdes, they showed Faraday, they showed Maggie. And
are you referring to Hector. Mr. Echo as Faraday? No, he had a Faraday suit, but it's super confusing because we're calling him Mr. Echo, which is a character from Lost, and there was also a Faraday character from Lost. So it's like, it's kind of a mind bender. His name is Dangon or something.
No, not him.
Oh,
Dr. Kadar.
Why are you calling him Faraday? Doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. It's PTSD, man. That's all I can say.
Wow.
So they also, I was nervous they were killing off Sarah.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, she's dying because she had that like death scene like look on her face and the way she was talking, like, and I was like, oh, she's, and then all of a sudden she just like got up and was like, oh, yeah, we're good.
No. It wasn't that. It wasn't that cheesy. I liked how they did it. I thought she was injured.
Yeah,
I thought we were going to find out.
I thought she was bleeding out,
but she was just genuinely scared. She was paralyzed by fear, and she said, "I don't want to do this. It wasn't fun." And I thought that was real character building. I really enjoyed that moment.
I don't know. I thought it was just more confusion.
Did we watch the same show?
Yeah, I think so, with Faraday.
Okay. With Faraday. Oh my gosh. So Hal and Tom had their rift early. We got that resolved because basically Tom now knows he's got to step up. It seemed like Ann and Tom had a rift, and I don't think they're done with
I thought that was actually pretty compelling that they were arguing over Lourdes' dead body.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, I did too. So did you do a big old crocodile tear with Lourdes dying?
You know, I would have, but this episode was just too busy because they.
Okay. So later on tonight, you'll cry on your pillow.
Oh, Lord! Look what Again, go back and watch, and maybe don't watch it, but at least think back to when Jimmy died in season 2. I mean, it was an absolute tragic episode. I mean, just gut wrenching. It was just, the look on Weaver's face, the way Ben felt about the whole thing, just everyone in the second mass. I mean, it was just so moving. And then when Lourdes died, and to me, Lourdes was a way bigger character on this show than Jimmy. They developed her way more. She had way more parts. She had way more plays to make in the course of this series. And when she died, it was just, I don't know, Anne gave her a little tribute, but it just didn't feel right. It felt like Lourdes dying should have been the big thing in this episode. And it was just overshadowed by so much other people's deaths, which were confusing and kind of just bad. And I felt like Lourdes was supposed to be kind of like, Lourdes' death should have been the main event of this episode, and I just felt it was overshadowed by a lot of Michael Bay stuff.
Okay.
But speaking of Lourdes' death, I mean, how cold was it of Lexi to do that? I mean, Lourdes and Lexi.
I thought that scene was awesome.
Best friends. I mean,
well, I like how Lexi's like, would you like me to, ease your pain? And Lourdes, oh, yes. Not realizing it means I'm going to kill you. And how about when Pope pulled the gun and she made him turn the gun the other way and he's going, I'm not doing this.
And it's crazy because
that was awesome.
None of us were on Pope's side last week. None of us were, because we all know Pope can be a little trigger happy. He can be a little overprotective of what he thinks is his.
Yeah.
And so, he doesn't connect with everybody. He doesn't have the same sense of ethics as everybody. So, I mean, none of us were on Pope's side last week. None of us were, let's kill Lexi because we don't know what she is. Yeah. But how the turntables, when suddenly Lourdes is dying before our eyes and Pope is just completely powerless, and you're just wishing with everything within you that Pope would just pop her a new one,
Yeah,
So
right. Yeah, but
right.
he
So
couldn't.
how crazy was that turn of events when we were like, Pope, just go simmer down last week, and now we're all like, Pope, please kill her. Crazy, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
Lexi is it's hard to like connect with her because I understand how she feels betrayed by some of her followers or some of the people who turned against her, or just feeling, she said I could feel them
I
afraid of me and coming to hurt me.
I don't think you're supposed to get too connected to her. I think she's going to be dead by the end of the season. Either that or she's the big baddie going into season 5, and all this we're family and that it's going to turn real ugly real fast.
Hmm.
But I also now don't think if she doesn't die, I don't think a Mason is dying. I think tonight was the night where a Mason would have died. I think Hal would have eaten it tonight, and he didn't.
And what do we think is going to happen with Ben when he gets on that ship?
I just don't know. He seems to be like way too into Lexi. Like she's my sister, protector, all that kind of stuff. He seems to be way too invested in that where the others aren't. And when she was saying this to him, trying to convince him to get on the ship or to go with her, boy, I mean, if he gets on, I think Ben is lost. If he doesn't get on, I think that's going to be part of the catalyst for the major rift that's going to happen between Lexi and
Now you
his
say
family.
Ben is lost, you mean they're just going to kill him, or you mean he's going to like join the dark side?
No, I think he's lost. Yeah,
Yeah, I
he's
don't
going to
see
join
that
the dark
happening
side.
unless they coerce him with some kind of eye worm or something. I don't see Ben. I think actually Ben probably has.
If he gets on that ship, I
I
think that
think
they've
Ben is one of
got
the
him.
strongest wills in this of any character on the series.
I do too, which could be when you talk about, turning him to the dark side. Then in the end of the 5th season, he has his Darth Vader moment and he throws Lexi down the pit and
Brings balance to the
he
force.
turns out to be a good guy. Yeah, brings balance to the force. So I mean that could be what we're heading towards. My gut reaction is no. I also don't think he's getting on that ship.
Hmm.
That's my gut reaction. He
I
is
don't
not
think
going to get on that ship.
No,
She
he's gonna
is,
stay with Lexi.
and she is. No, my gut reaction says
I'm
he's
telling
not.
you, he's got that strong will. He's determined to see this through. He's gonna stay with her, no matter what she does. If she invites him on that ship and says, "I'm going with her without you," he's gonna be on that ship.
See, the reason I don't think he is because he's been harnessed, and he knows he can only get so close to them before they control him. The Skitters talk through him.
Only if he allows it.
He will lose himself to them. Yeah, but if you're in an environment where there's 50 of those guys and an overlord there, can you control that?
He's gonna get on that ship. I'm telling you.
All right,
Especially if Lexi does. He
we'll
might try
see.
and talk Lexi out of it, but if Lexi's getting on that ship, he's going with her. He didn't go.
We'll
He didn't
see.
leave the. He didn't leave the battle just to like go for a walk.
Okay, I'm anxious to see. Fortunately, we're recording this so late in the week that we're going to have our answer in only a couple of days, which is awesome. So we'll be able to tell. I'm glad Cochise didn't die. I was afraid during this massacre that Cochise would die, and as you know, big fan of Cochise
Right.
here. So I was glad that he was in it. He got to do a little bit.
Shaq wasn't there, and I think this would have been a great episode for Shaq to die in, with all the humans dropping like flies. I thought this would have been the
this
would
where
have been
you
the
take out
episode
Shaq.
where you get a little bit of Volmanity in there too, and
either that or Shaq should have been frontline kicking butt.
Yeah, but you want to know who I was glad to see this episode was Denny. I was very glad to see Denny this episode. I do,
I know you love
and she was at least, I don't know about a big player character wise, but at least battle wise, she played a big role. Yeah,
She was
and so
very present.
I appreciated that after not seeing her for a few weeks. Same goes for Sarah, even though she confused me like everybody else did in this episode.
Right. Yeah, I was glad Sarah was back, and I was really hoping they weren't going to jump out and kill her. I'm glad she's there, and it does change her character some. You think of her as kind of a tough lady, and she faced with the real face of war, she didn't like it. And that makes Pope, Pope is more the crazy one that wants to do that stuff. She is more the, hey, I'm tough, but watching my friends die is not cool. So I think that there was some real character development there. I think there are going to be repercussions for what happened. I also think that Pope softened
to
that, which was
Pope
really
has a soft
interesting.
moment or two, pretty much just one, mainly, seemingly every season, whether it's with Maggie or Crazy Lee, or here with Sarah now, or maybe I don't know if did I say Matt? Somebody he'll have like a softish kind of moment with somebody, and
Yeah, where he was kind of the father figure for
father
Matt.
figure
Yeah.
or the touching friend or boyfriend or whatever he is, or
Right.
yeah, or even like a mentor of sorts. In some way,
Right.
maybe kind of like a weird one, maybe not a great role model, but almost yeah, kind of mentorish type of person, or at least influential to say.
Right.
Um,
Right. And we've seen this, and tonight I think we got our Pope soft moment. Although there's been a few this season. He likes
mhm.
Sarah, and I think that she is bringing it to him. And I think that this is the new Tom and Anne, where there's a little rift between them. I think you're just going to see this relationship grow, especially now that he feels he'll be her protector. Even though she can handle things, she couldn't handle herself at that crucial moment, and he's going to feel that need to protect. And I think that's going to build their relationship.
Yeah, I could see that. What do you think about the way
You know?
the episode ended? Like the final scene with just Tom kind of going, "Oh man, I got knocked out." I didn't think that was a great ending scene. I actually didn't expect it to end there. I was like, "Oh, here's the credits. That was it."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It just kind of ended. Yeah, I agree. I
So
agree. It just kind of
I just want
ended.
to say that
Uh,
overall, like this episode definitely left you going, "Wow." I mean, that was a lot. It was definitely, like I said, high impact. But overall, I was
yeah,
disappointed with this episode because I feel like it should have been more. They could have made it more valuable. They could have like given us more bang for our buck. Or
yeah. That's funny because I have the opposite feel. I thought they really paid off a lot. I
I
really
felt it was
enjoyed the
messy.
episode. Maybe it was, but I don't know. I enjoyed it. I had a few things here and there that I went, yeah, maybe they could have tightened that up or whatever. But I really enjoyed it, and I like it in the context of what's happening. I'm very anxious to see what
As
happens
we all
season
are,
two.
Robert. Very anxious. Now, have you noticed a couple of things that I wanted to talk about? I've actually been meaning to bring this up for a while now, and haven't really had the chance as of yet, or at least it's been slipping my mind, you know. But we've
Okay,
not had Will Wheaton this season with the second watch. We had that in season 2 and
right,
season 3, and now it feels like they kind of
right,
gave up
right.
on that. Don't really understand why.
Well, now we have this show,
What show? Oh,
our show. Frank, did you know
oh,
you're on a
you're referring
podcast?
to
Did you think we're
you
just chatting
refer to
about the show?
podcasts as shows sometimes, and it throws me off. Um,
Sorry.
yeah, absolutely. And there's like I think like 10 other Falling Skies podcasts, but we won't go there. But they don't have the second watch, which I enjoyed because it was a chance to kind of really get into the minds of some of the actors and producers of the show. Um, and so there's that. Also, the Falling Skies app, which was kind of really cool for seasons at least 2 and 3. I went
Yeah, they don't.
I
No,
checked
they
that
don't have
out,
that
and
this
there
season,
wasn't an
right?
update for it, and I'm trying to follow along through the episode, and it's giving me old information on like season 3 stuff, and I'm just like, what? I mean, like there was some cool
Yeah,
stuff to follow along with last. Now I feel like they kind of gave up on some of that stuff, and I don't know if maybe
it's disappointing,
I don't know if
especially
it's a budget
when
thing, or I don't know if
it,
it's
well, and it seems like the numbers were going up last year. Things were really heating up. It's not like the season started, people weren't as interested, and they stopped these things. They had already stopped these things at the beginning before the season started. So I don't know why they made that choice. I mean, it seemed like they were really building some interesting social media stuff and some ways to engage with the show, and they just kind of stopped. Maybe they knew they're only going to do, like maybe their intention was, hey, this might be the last season, and then somewhere during the season they said, okay, let's finish it out with season
and so
5.
they felt
I don't
what's
know.
really the point in generating all this extra stuff if we think we're kind of coming to
Right.
an end. And yeah, I don't know how much of it's budget. I will say that I felt like there was a very strong like preseason I guess social media campaign prior to season 3, and I felt like there was this whole
Right.
talk about like, hashtag aliens, hashtag resistance, and all these cool graphics and artwork that they were just kind of throwing up there on like Twitter and Facebook and stuff. I felt like, there was definitely some posts and there was definitely some videos and things, but I just felt like there wasn't quite that huge of a campaign. Yeah.
It wasn't the same.
Wasn't as big of a
Yeah.
preseason campaign.
It's interesting. I mean, this time they did some video
Yeah.
things that were cool, and they put out some stuff. But you're right; it didn't have the same buzz that it did last year, and that's truly a manufactured thing. It's not like people weren't interested. Maybe they have different social
Could
media
be.
people this time. Maybe they have a new advertising team behind it, and they took a different approach. I agree. I think it may be a misstep because there was more hype built up last year, and this year I think they could have capitalized on it going into this season, especially with all the crazy stuff going on this
season. And the 12 episode jump to 12 rather than 10. And I don't know about second watch. Like, I don't know what the budget for second watch is versus how much revenue it's bringing in or ratings that it's converting into, So, I mean, is it worth to pay Will Wheaton how many thousands of dollars to record those spots and bringing in those actors and producers?
I think he gets about $75 per episode. So
I think I get about $75 per episode.
You get nothing and you like it.
Thanks, boss.
Right. I get nothing and I like it.
That's why we do this. All right. That's well, right. I guess there you have it. Rob loved this episode, and I was disappointed with it. So we'd love to get your comments as well. We are on social media. It's our social media campaign on Facebook. Just find us at Second Mass Report, the Falling Skies Podcast, or on Twitter at Second Mass Pod. I believe that's what it is, right? And we are also able to be sent emails on our Gmail account, secondmassreport@gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you. So send us any of your comments, questions, I don't know, concerns. Do people have concerns anymore?
I don't know. I'm sure.
And what are we highlighting?
I might send you a concern this week.
Yeah. What do we have to promote Southgate Media Group wise? What's the big ticket item? Big money.
Oh man, you know what? There's just so much going on. Check out the website. The website, we've got some new blogs and things that are going on that are really exciting. People are really enjoying them, and we just want to spread the word about that. We've got new shows coming with this fall season coming up, so it's a good time to kind of get involved, get on our social media, subscribe to our Twitter, which is at SMG Pods, or to me personally, at R Southgate. And we tweet out all the new shows and all the new titles that are coming. We also have a Tumblr page, which is doing pretty well. And I like that because we're getting a lot of engagement there. A lot of people writing in and a lot of people sharing our stuff. So that's pretty cool. Pinterest page is also doing well. So what's going on? Just a lot of stuff. Oh, you know what? I do have an announcement. I have a very interesting
I'm interested.
Coming up October. I screwed up the whole announcement. August 21st at Chicago Wizard World I believe it's at 7:00. You have to check the program because they have changed the time on me. Southgate Media Group is actually hosting a panel at Chicago Wizard World. And this one is specifically on podcasting and journalism.
Oh, that's up our alley.
So yeah, it's going to be an interesting panel that we're doing. And we've got some really cool people that are going to be on it, not all from Southgate Media Group. So just kind of a good cross-section of bloggers, writers, and a couple other podcasters. So it should be a lot of fun. And you do want to get on our Twitter and that, because we also are going to be hosting a couple of VIP parties at Wizard World. They're not part of Wizard World. It's separate, but it's going to be at a restaurant right there. And they're really cool. They're really shaping up to be something. You cannot get in without a ticket. The only way you're going to be able to get a ticket right now, we're still doling out the ones to the people that are supposed to be there. We're going to have a select amount to people that are just fans. And we have not figured out how we're going to do that yet. Very likely there'll be a tweet going out about that, or our Facebook page, or both. And it's going to be first come, first served for those few tickets. So you definitely want to engage with us. If you want to come to that thing, you got to let us know, and we'll let you know how you can possibly
If you are...
So there you go. There's a couple of really cool things. And we're going to have a My Little Pony tribute band at one of them. I mean, how awesome is that?
A tribute band?
Yeah. They're awesome. They're called the Shakeups and Ponyville. They're awesome.
That's radical. It's radical, Rob. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, or you can get here, come see us at Wizard World.
There you go. It's going to be awesome. All right, I'm done.
All right, thank you,
Rob.
Thank you, Frank. And we will be sure and chat again. I'd say next week, but pretty much in a couple days here.
Right.
All right, Rob, take it easy. And just want to let you know, as I always do, that the Second Mass Report, the Falling Skies podcast, is a production of the Southgate Media Group. And until next time, stay vigilant, stay active, and stay brave.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.